They sent this script to me, and I was intrigued because it's the first screenplay that Grisham has come up with. It isn't from a novel. I think, in a way, the books are written in a way that makes you feel they, as indeed they have, could become movies. And so it was interesting to work the other way around, to read this and then feel, as I think Grisham did, that it needed like a strong directorial impulse behind it. And when Robert Altman came on board, that was, you know, that was me. That was a yes from me straight away. It looks like a film noir. It looks very, there's an atmosphere of sinister something and dread. There's a very uneasy feeling in it. He's come to Savannah to capture that side of Savannah that is a little compellingly creepy. And the movie has that. So there's a very powerful atmosphere and a very interesting ensemble of characters. It isn't just, you know, the good guy and the girl. It's a much more of an ensemble, the kind of thing you might expect in an Altman film, but not necessarily in a Grisham film. One of the interesting things is whether this is a true blue good guy or a bad guy or somewhere in between. And again, as in many of Altman's things, he enjoys working in this grey area where this guy adores his kids, is a successful and a good lawyer with some sense of honour in there, but also a man who's lost his way slightly and for whom winning now is everything. And it is certainly not how you play the game. And he's been casual about his relationships, casual about his sense of fairness with people. And he has a great deal to learn during the course of the movie. There's a big sort of morality tale in there, I suppose. So it makes you think. It makes you think because you hate this guy at the same time as recognizing there are parts of him as he's drawn into this web of intrigue and this life-threatening situation where his kids may be lost, where he may die, where he gets involved in a murder himself, and are forced to feel along with him. It has quite a strong emotional punch. I'm surprised, and that's how it's played as we've been shooting it, both with this tremendous sort of suspenseful thing and a surprising emotional charge, and this is, I think, down to Altman. He meets Mallory at this point when he's rather empty. He's still attracted to his ex-wife, but knows it won't work. He's very attracted to his partner, played by Daryl Hannah. And then he meets a woman from a different class, different social position, and he is in the grip of a sort of obsessive love, desire for a combination of lust and love, and a sort of determination to prove to his colleagues that it isn't just another one-night stand, but in so doing he gets dragged into a world that he had no idea about, thinks he can control, learns very quickly he can't, and has a rare old time dealing with it. But he finds her utterly fascinating. She is enigmatic, she is troubled, she is vulnerable, she is passionate, and I think, as men do sometimes, I guess, people do sometimes, he's looking for someone who can sort of provide everything. She seems to do it. Gorgeous, intelligent, damsel in distress as well. I mean, she's a kind of fantasy figure for him. Rick Magruder is a successful lawyer, winning yet another case. He hasn't lost one in 7 or 8 years. He, on the very night that he celebrates it, meets a waitress, somebody he wouldn't normally decide to date. They have a one-night stand, which comes out of a kind of desperation on her part. She's clearly upset. He doesn't intend it, she doesn't intend it, but it happens, and it happens very successfully. He discovers she's being stalked by her father, and he decides to help. And from that point on, all sorts of other things go wrong. And he gets dragged into a murder intrigue, into a kidnapping scenario. He is involved with hiring a private investigator to protect him, his family, his children. His world starts to crumble. She is threatened. The Robert Downey character, who's the private investigator, is threatened. The Robert Duvall character, who's the stalking father, is let loose, and you see an entire kind of existence crumble around him. It's kind of everybody's worst nightmare, but, you know, exciting to watch at a distance, you know, vicarious thrill to be had.
I thought the girl part was a great part. That's what I thought. I mean, I don't always think in terms of, you know, how well is this going to do, how is it going to be accepted. It's really a part thing and it's a director thing, and here you couldn't get better in terms of both. So The thing about the script, and the great thing about Savannah, I think too, is that the thing that you see is not necessarily the thing that it is. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of little shadows and things running through it, and she's that way, but so is everybody in the script. It's not all what appears to be at face value. She is childlike, she's fragile, but she's tough too. And I'm not going to give away who is what, but that should say enough. The story is really his story. It's a story of a guy who's probably quite spoilt, had everything coming, golden boy, drives a fast car, has had the beautiful wife, other women. Maybe life's bringing a lesson to him, and it comes in the form of this strange turn of events that happens when he meets her. For her, she's bumbling along and trying to sort out her own thing, but I think the connection of the two of them is what brings the whole thing to a head. There's a story that Mallory's father used to tell her, the one of the gingerbread man, and it comes back to haunt her in sort of nightmare form. It's something that keeps going round and round in her head, and I guess, who is the gingerbread man? At the end of the movie you ask that. I suppose it's, I don't know. You wait and see. But that's what it is. It's both a story as well as possibly symbolically it means somebody gets gobbled up by the end of the movie.
Probably was like on the police force for like a couple months, discharged, drinks a lot, private investigator. And I think he's kind of, you know, maybe he's good at it. I don't think he likes doing it. I think he's definitely a lower middle class guy, and I think it upsets him to be working for a successful lawyer, but I think he likes Rick enough that, you know, he does it. It was kind of sleazy, and I think he likes doing sleazy things. No, I don't think they really like each other, but you know, they both serve a purpose for each other. I mean, I would imagine for Rick, it's like, I think he says, you know, I don't like him, that's why I hire him, I don't trust him. And I think I'm just like, he just doesn't like anybody, you know, except maybe the bartender at Huey's and these two girls, and probably in that order. I think he's a good guy, but he's just painfully obvious to Clyde that he's really just, you know, you're always the last to see it. Just, you know, he's going nuts over this kind of white trash girl, which isn't a bad idea, but I mean, you know, he gets in a lot of trouble and doesn't know when to stop. I think it's pretty obvious. Like, what are you doing? It's also nice to see him when like he'll get a note, like for, you know, that the accent could be, you know, just a bunch of little notes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's nice to see when, you know, because it doesn't, the degree of difficulty is always high if you're number one on the call sheet and you're doing something like this, and with Bob, and it's loose. So then you're doing an accent that has nothing to do with your native tongue, and Bob's saying, just walk with your kids and, you know, talk to them about or as you said to me, when to do this scene in the aftermath of this major incident and little shootout thing, and he goes, just play the scene, but there's nothing scripted, you know.
Well, mainly I wanted to work with Robert Altman because I'm such a fan of his work. I think that he's one of the last artists that we really have making films, and one of the few people that really stands up for what he believes and how he likes to work, and I'm just so fascinated by his process and by his films, and such a fan of all of his past films that I really wanted to work with him. And then when I read the script and saw how well developed that was, and then found out who else was going to be in it, and I mean, it's a no-brainer for me, you know. Well, I think that they've had a flirtatious relationship in the past, and they definitely have an attraction to each other. They've been working together, and I think that for me, or for my character, that she's never really wanted to cross that line because things weren't really clear, and she wanted to keep their working relationship pure and clean, and also because he was married and then he went through a divorce, and I've seen him kind of go through other women pretty easily, and I didn't want to become one of those, especially since I'm his associate. He's definitely attracted to a type, and all of the women in his life are sort of similar, but they each kind of have their own extreme identities as well. Like Leanne, his ex-wife, is tortured to a certain extent because of their failed relationship, and she's an alcoholic, and she's bitter and angry with him, and I think that dynamic plays a lot in their relationship. And Mallory represents sort of kind of a wilder knight, and also he can be sort of paternal with her and protective and take care of her, and I'm more or less kind of his conscience or his equal, and I kind of can rib him a little bit now and then, but I also like him a lot, and I have a responsibility towards him, and so we have a little bit of a playful, kind of more fun relationship.
He's very prolific, and everybody seems to be wanting to do his projects. So many directors have done, and this is the first, I guess, one that's not an adaptation from a book. It's the first original screenplay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Grisham wrote this?
Yeah, he did initially.
Originally
They've changed a lot of it, but and then Altman was attached to it. And, I worked with Altman years ago, and I hadn't worked with, so I thought it would be nice to work with him again because he's really fun and relaxed to work with. But I think always there are flashes of sanity with anybody who's a little off, so you have to find those contradictions and find that thrust too, as well as the other, So it all depends on is the observer, as to who's nuts and who's not nuts, Yeah, I'm serving the film in a specific way, in the way it's set up, and and then I'm terrorizing my daughter, and I create an aura of terror around, and all these things are blamed on me. But whether or not I'm really guilty of these acts, who knows, But rather than arrest me and put me in jail, they arrest me and put me under psychiatric treatment. But I break out, my gang comes and breaks me out. Today we're shooting these 2 days. It's the courtroom scene where they try to declare whether I'm what they perceive as nuts enough to go off for psychiatric help. They've arrested me and brought me in without a warrant or anything. Kind of on technicalities, but a bit trumped up. And eventually I go off for psychiatric help.
Quitus Trailers, visita mi canal.
I've been subpoenaed to come in and testify for her against her dad. It's a mental competency hearing, and her attorney, the Kenneth Branagh character, needs me to testify about the 2 fights that we had, and in order that he can lock him up for 50 days. Well, he was my father-in-law, and he's a mental case, and he's in a hair-trigger temper, and I got into it on a couple occasions. Once at a 4th of July picnic, and it seems a couple of scuffles with him, which he seems to have got the advantage of. He put me in the hospital with a concussion. He hit me over the head with a log. It's an attorney who's just gone through a divorce. He's a successful defense attorney. His wife is now with another man. He's trying to have a relationship with his kids. He sometimes does not have the time for them, or he forgets things because of his busy schedule. So he's trying to be a good dad, please them. At the same time, he's having some problems with his ex-wife, And then I think he's drinking too much, and then he meets this girl, and Mallory, and he falls for her, big time. You know, it's a little bit like Body Heat. Yeah, The Attorney in Body Heat. And he gets himself in trouble with it. He really likes actors, you know. It isn't like he gets off the set and says, "Oh God, I gotta get away from them." He really does like them. He likes to be like a family, and he's a bit of the old school, like John Ford and those guys were.
My name is Famke Janssen. That's the way you pronounce it. And the character name I play is Leanne, and who used to be married to Rick Magruder. So it's debatable whether or not I would use the last name Magruder still, since we're right in the middle of a divorce during this movie. I just, I guess I would say it's somewhat of a thriller set in the South. Of course, the easiest way to describe it mostly is to say it's from a John Grisham script. And then people kind of seem to understand that it's going to be about a lawyer who's set up where something is going to happen to him, and, you know, some kind of thriller type story develops, and mostly the lawyer will kind of come out okay at the other end. There's a lot of stuff going on between Rick and Leanne during the course of this movie still. Since they're in the middle of a divorce, there's a lot of unspoken things, a lot of things that they're still, you know, trying to work out in their heads. And I think that they're certainly not entirely separated yet. And so, you know, having an affair with somebody else and bringing that person to a party is, of course, a thing that, but especially with, in my opinion, his background is probably that he has had affairs himself. So it's sort of something to get back at him a little bit. Well, it's really a dream come true. I'm really excited about it. It's something that I never even dared to wish was going to happen. And all of a sudden I find myself in this movie, and he has a very particular way of shooting. He wants everybody to come to dailies every single night, which I have never experienced in my 6 years of acting. It's very unusual that any director wants the actor who's in the scene to come to dailies, but to have every single person who's part of the cast come to dailies every single night, that's really unusual. And he does it because I guess he wants to create that sort of atmosphere that goes with his filmmaking, which is very much like a family, a group of people attempting something together, which is great, which is what my dream of filmmaking was always about, but it doesn't always end up being that way.
I really thought it was unusual, you know, for Altman to do this, because here's a very structured environment, and I thought to myself, he'll never do it, you know, he just won't. I did ask him, but I didn't think he would do it. And even when he, you know, decided to do it, I said to him, he said, well, there's something in here interests me, something in my mind's eye, and he plays with his hands, and he looks through his eyes, it's like devilish look, you know, he's a real interesting, unforgettable character. The gingerbread man is a gingerbread man, that's, you know, we all know the story, who's too self-confident and winds up getting eaten. And in this case, Ken Branagh plays a gingerbread man type character. And I don't want to give the end away, and he doesn't get eaten, you know, metaphorically, but he is running for his life, and without knowing it.
To me, it was a great idea. It was a terrific screenplay, even without John Grisham's name on it. If it was written by Joe Smith, I'd still want to make this movie. And the added attraction of being able to use John Grisham's name and bring in, hopefully tap into his audience, to me got all of us at Island really excited. You know, the idea being, if you like his stories and like his books, you have to see the movie, okay? Because you can't read this story. You know, it's not your average John Grisham movie because Bob Altman directed it, and it's not your average Bob Altman movie because it's a John Grisham script. So it's really just, you know, dark, edgy, funny, super sexy, and our fingers are crossed.
Well, he makes my job 100% easier because He is a director, and a really good director, and he understands the process. And when I'm working with a lot of the local people who are kind of basically non-actors, who are just characters that are appearing, he goes in and directs them. He does it. He puts the scene together for me, and he's a great help. He's my new best friend. I'm crazy about him. Well, the storyline is simply, it's a thriller. I've never done a thriller, and that was another reason that I was interested in doing it, where we really do shadows, and we set it all in a hurricane, add another element to it, and the hurricane climaxes with the climax of the film, the thriller, and it's that kind of genre. I've never done it before, which is another reason that it interested me, because I don't know how to do it. The part that Daryl Hannah plays is another lawyer in her firm, and she's the woman I assume that we assume the audience will say, oh, that's the girl he should be with. But he gets his skins get into goosebumps when he is around this Embeth Davids, who plays the main girl, Mallory, and she's just a little kind of like a class removed from him. Operates in a little different level, so he's kind of hooked on her. Well, we try to make them all real characters and give them many sides instead of making him a straight-out hero out of him, where he's a good guy all the way through, because I don't know anybody who's that way. And so he has both all those elements going for him, as do the other characters. The bad people are good part of the time. And what's the thing about the little girl with the curl? When she's good, she's very good, and when she's bad, she's very bad. It relates in a way to a story that Embeth's father Duvall had told her when she was a little girl, and it scared her, and it kind of invades the whole story. But it is also, in a funny way, symbolically the character that Ken Branagh is playing. He's running and running and running, and as fast as he can, saying you can't catch the gingerbread man. But didn't the fox bite his head off? I think so.
Emar. Okay, Daryl. Yeah, that's it. You go. Yeah, everybody looking toward the door. Action. Action. Oh, come on! What?
Oh, I was dying to tell you, sir.
Thank you. Sam, check my bag, please.
Yes.
How are you? Nice to see you. Hey, Phil.
Sorry.
Nice to see you. It's very kind. Thank you very much. I wanted to take you to dinner. What are we doing with all these people? You need like 500 people in a room. Johnny. Yeah, come on.
Take that from you.
Take it. You don't lie. I want to know.
Hey, come on.
But, well,
have something now, because we're not going to be able to go out later. I've got tons.
We're trying to work this time out. What are you doing?
If we don't get it together, you're not going to be ready tomorrow.
Well, you know that we have plans to go to dinner. We talked about it earlier. And because you have tricked me in every way conceivable, I believe you owe me dinner, so that I don't have to eat this little chopstick thing. You organize this food?
Let's set you here. We'll pick it up as Ken comes in, going across. He comes over in here, don't you? Talks over in here. But I think you should stay with Kenneth. Bobby should. You're on this, and you should follow her. Okay. I'm from Missouri, you know. During the Civil War, we sold supplies to both sides. Where do you go?
I go over to Carl to the bar and then leave.
I think that she should go to Carl, and you should take this camera on the left. You would take her. Bobby, you'll stay with him.
So, okay, so when they leave, you can reach back for that, but Bobby will take you to that.
Yes, when she gets in, where is she?
Well, she was in, she came in then. I don't know if you saw her.
That's good. Now let's see when you go around and get between Ken and
Can I check how tight you are here, please?
oh, you got two heads, Ken.
Okay, so would we benefit from being closer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now she goes.
And I get signal on the Apple, take one camera.
Mark it.
Marker. 2, 2. B marker.
Come ahead.
Quitus Trailers, visita mi canal.
Do the
He'll hide in
what's the name, but I'll hang on for a bit.
You should be able to follow him across with the tighter lens.
Okay.
Just comes out of the house and he'll just cross.
Okay. Is that before you duck over there, or
It's
once you're in
because
the-
I
About
duck over
as.
here. It'll happen when I'm about here.
Okay, so I'll go up here and
I'll hear a noise.
You're going to be. You want to hear about here when he comes?
Yeah, I think so, because then I can sort of do one of the
Yeah,
but I do it in a way that you'd never get like post-production. They all quietly do the bit through a quiet meter.
Whatever Alan wants to do.
Hit me with a
gun.
Grievance. That's the rubber gun.
They've got the kid. In other words, they've got the kids. So you don't just shoot somebody and say, they've got the kids. They've got. I think that is important that she says that.
All right.
I thought they did. You know.
In the car.
When you and Clyde are driving back in that time when we started the discovery. But I think it's important.
And they'll get into the car real quick when they go.
Oh yeah, and
because I'm entirely unencumbered. Check it out over there. Right there. I started going. You mentioned maybe somebody comes out here.
Yeah, which then it brings you back to here, and you're still looking over there. You know, you're like there's.
So I've gone all the way through there. I come through here. When I hear the guy, I nip behind the back here.
Yeah, and you start to turn, and then he comes around this side here someplace. And you'll go off with him, taking him through. Then you'll come back, pick him up. You don't have to. You can do that with the pan. You'll come back and pick him up. Now, Bobby, did you say you're trespassing?
Oh, yeah, I said that.
And then he says,
Yeah, you're trespassing. And then he said something that, I said, look under the house.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Let's, all right, let's go again. You're as safe as you can be. Bobby.
Trespassing, boy. You're trespassing. You're trespassing.
Give me back my kids, you son of a... Cut!
All right, we'll do that.
Action.
Can you explain that in a little more detail, Doctor?
He was utterly uncooperative and seemed given to violent outbursts. And his sense of hygiene has, well, lapsed.
And your conclusions, Doctor?
Well, judging from the behavior I observed, I'd say Mr. Doss suffers from rather acute case of schizophrenia.
Well, but you know, these kids had a great. I don't know. I know when.
Shelley is mentioning their service. Shelley's trying to act like
Under the judge. Stand up. Thank you. Yeah. I'll go get
Well, then you'll come back to the center.
I'll run into the light.
What lens you got? All right, let's do this. Come on, we have many miles to keep.
All right, Matt? Take one, there's two cameras.
Downey, wave your hand. Oh, I see. Move just a touch to your, yeah, there. Get a little bit there, yes. All right, stand by. Go.
Name me the first 5 presidents of the United States.
I don't answer questions.
No, you can't do it. You can't. Name the first 5. They ought to ship your ass.
We don't have to listen to this. This man is terrorizing his own daughter and needs to be treated. It's as simple as that.
You back there and everybody. You.
Mr. Doss, please stand up. Please stand up.
You spin around. Yeah, and go right across the end. And that all that action stuff worked good. We'll need one more of those, and then I'll need one with just this will be tight on Duvall. I want you to stay behind her. Oh, sure. Yeah, but do it with this kind of thing. You don't have to. In other words, go do that. You're back in your chair. Bring the camera.
If I do this, right behind you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll show you.
Nice meeting you.
Me, Mark.
Okay, here's the talk, blah, 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 blah. Go on the nod, Downey, whenever you want. Hey, hey! Back! Okay.
Reloading.
What? That's good back there.